Friends, in this video for I Thought Wealth, I am going to talk to you on the topic, the hottest themes could be different in 2023. We saw FMCG rule the roost post-COVID. We saw a number of sectors which we never expected to do great just before COVID become super performers in COVID. A good example is pharma. Once COVID struck, the first reaction was that IT would be affected very badly. But we quickly shifted gears and made IT the darling of our portfolios. Everything worked for 2 years and it worked like magic. Small cap, which we thought would be deeply impacted in COVID, turned out to be the darling of the markets in 2022. We invested so much money in small cap that it's a historic high in the amounts of capital going into that space. Naturally, the valuations of small cap are still elevated. Mid cap, which is a rather narrow space, has seen so much of crowding of capital into a small subset of companies that the valuations refuse to come down. But despite all this, we are now heading for a phase where our preferences will change dramatically. And how? Just like in 2020, in 2021, in 2022, sectors which we had negative feelings became the darling of the markets. We could well see the same thing recur in 2023. The reason is that all these darlings of the market are valued at levels at which we are only set for disappointment. They would not be able to fulfill our expectations and they will lag significantly given the macros turning against them. Also, the market is not mentally ready for disappointment. This means that large institutional investors will quickly try to search for safe havens. When they go looking for safe havens, they are going to look at a different set of industries, a different sector where global factors may matter less, where domestic factors may actually hold the valuations up and where valuations are already low. That is where domestic service companies could be in a sweet spot. Also, sectors like power, mining, which are all seen as the smokestack industries of the past, industries not worth touching, may actually make a comeback. We are seeing green shoots of that. There could be other themes also which make a comeback when we are least expecting them to. Remember that pharma made a comeback after COVID when nobody was expecting it to achieve that. IT made a comeback which was against all odds because at that time growth was not happening and then COVID happened. It was like a double whammy. People are not sure how IT companies will be able to bring growth back, and they did bring growth back. Now suddenly that growth looks suspect. So the markets will be looking for sectors where decent growth of 10 to 15% is a given and companies are able to maintain profitability, if not improve them. That hunger to find new spaces is not going to be met with enough of opportunity, which means that whenever we find sectors which are meeting our criteria, there is going to be a rush of capital towards that. So everybody is going to rush to that gate and there could be a stampede. That stampede will be very similar to what we saw in all these favorite sectors of 2020, 2021 and 2022. So staying in those sectors, hoping that they would come back, may be a more painful wait over the next year or two, whereas sectors which are now in the doghouse could suddenly become darlings. And that possibility looks more and more real to me looking at the mindset of large institutional investors, fund managers, portfolio managers and people who are influential voices in the industry. They seem to be ready for churn and they seem to only want to protect their position. Remember that the criticism of active management is at its highest in the history of the Indian stock market. People think that active managers have lost their mojo and it's really a question of survival, a question of their izzat or ego to prove that they can give it a good shot. Some of them actually achieved that and they are ahead of the benchmarks. I expect more of them to try to beat the benchmark and try more actively by trying something new, because otherwise they are anyway gone. So they might as well try something new and achieve a different outcome. So that desperation is actually going to lead people to fresh thinking and it's going to make them try something new. And I only hope that retail investors who follow these people are quick enough to pick what big people are doing and latch on to the trend whenever they see it. I'm not saying that the trend is already there, but I'm saying that it could be in the making. And when it's in the making, be smart enough to latch on to the trend and be an active participant in the emerging themes of 23, 24 and beyond. Because clearly there is a churn, and that churn is not going back to what worked in 22 or 21. It's going to something which didn't work in that phase and has begun to work like magic. So that's really where the market is moving and the market minds are looking. Thank you for watching this video.